Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the CBT podcast. I'm here with Ethan, but I'm not here with Rod as he cannot record because he is currently out of the country. But we don't really care because some big news happened today and we need to talk about it. So the Kevin Durant trade saga, it kind of fallen stale. Not much action was happening. And then at about 3 a.m. last night, we got a tweet from Woj that the Celtics were engaged in trade talks with the Nets. So absolute blindside. The Celtics offered Jaylen Brown, Derrick White, and a pick in exchange for Kevin Durant. And the Nets supposedly countered with Jaylen Brown, Derrick White, Marcus Smart, another rotation player, and even more draft picks. So they're asking for a lot more than the Celtics sounds like they're willing to offer. Ethan, how do you feel about this trade proposal?
I mean, from the Celtics end, I think they were just doing their due diligence, going in, seeing what the offer was for Kevin Durant. Like, throwing in Jaylen Brown, it's really the only name that they can throw around. They're definitely not getting rid of Tatum. So obviously Brown has to be thrown in there. And then, Derrick White, yeah, you don't really need him after the Brogdon trade. So you kind of just throw him in there and then you throw in a pick just to see what the offer is. But if you're Sean Marks, you need to get drug tested for that kind of return. He wants, and this is baffling to me, but he wants the depoy. He wants Jaylen Brown. He wants Derrick White, and he wants multiple picks
and another rotation player.
That's wild. Someone's got to drug test the man because that's just crazy.
Yeah,
whew.
As a Celtics fan, I already feel like we currently have the best roster in the NBA, at least constructed the best of any roster in the NBA. I understand going out there and trying to get Kevin Durant, obviously, probably the most talented offensive player in the history of basketball. So you want him on your team, you want him in your franchise, you want him to lead you to a championship. But when you're coming off of a finals appearance and a team that's already improved in the offseason, there is absolutely no need for you to break up your core in order to bring a 33, 34-year-old superstar to the team when you have a 25-year-old star and a 24-year-old superstar. So I get them going out and throwing the offer out there. But if you give up any more than they offered in that initial deal, I would hate this trade as a Celtics fan.
Nah, definitely. I mean, as a Celtics fan, you just love me some Brown.
Oh,
I
love
just
the guy.
love, yeah, you
What a
can't just,
fella.
I know. And so to see him getting thrown around in trade talks, I mean, Celtics fans don't want it happening. But obviously, if you're thinking about it in the GM perspective, Brad Stevens and ownership, if you're thinking about it from that perspective, you're in win now mode. You're really wanting to just go ahead, go all out, and you see it. They're going over the luxury tax, something they haven't done in years.
Long time.
So you can see that they're really in that win now mode. My issue with it is that you're trying to trade for when the season starts a 34-year-old Kevin Durant, where after 2 years, he's on a 4-year extension. So after 2 years, you're going to start seeing that decline. And it's only going to get worse from there at this point. I think with his injury prone already with that Achilles, I think it's only going to build from there in his leg. Now, the only way that I think that trade really makes sense is if the GM and ownership knows that Jaylen Brown's not re-signing in 2 years. I think that is the only way that trade should ever happen.
Yeah, so after the rumors came out this morning, we saw a tweet from Jaylen Brown, and all he said was SMH, shaking my head, which is very concerning as a Celtics fan when he only has 2 years left on his contract. And we're starting to get into that time range where we need to start throwing extensions at him, lock him up long term, because he needs to be locked up long term. But what my biggest concern from these rumors that have come out is that the Celtics are going to end up not making a move for Kevin Durant because they're not going to want to give up half their core for him, understandably. But in doing so, in looking to trade Jaylen Brown, I'm concerned that they've created a rift in between him and the rest of the franchise because he's not happy to have his name being thrown around when he was just the second best player on a finals team. So
especially when he knows that he's disrespected by Celtics fans at times, and then they can also tell by ownership with his name being thrown around.
Yeah.
So obviously he's not going to be happy with that.
And when you take that and put on top of that, the Celtics, especially in recent years, have been labeled as a very disloyal franchise from mostly for trading Isaiah Thomas five years ago now. Wow. 5 years ago is how they got that title. So this is nothing but bad news for the Celtics unless they actually get that deal done at a cost of less than half of their core. But even if they get it done, let's think about it. Derrick White would be gone. So you lose all your guard depth behind a very injury prone Malcolm Brogdon, which is concerning. You lose Jaylen Brown, young star, and you lose a pick. But when you look at what you're getting back, are we even sure that KD and Jayson Tatum could play next to each other? Their play styles are very similar, and I'm just concerned about how that would fit with one another.
I don't think I'm that concerned about it just because it's basically a better version of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, if you really think about it. Because
Mhm.
obviously everyone in the world knows that Kevin Durant's miles. I personally believe Kevin Durant's still miles ahead of Brown.
Oh, no
I think
doubt.
just yeah. So I think you're just basically making a better duo. And Kevin Durant's also his ability to play make is something at his position, at his height. I think is something that would be huge for the Celtics. So you can basically have Brogdon and Smart turn into catch and shoot players and just have, your 7-footer bringing up the ball.
Assuming Smart's still on the Celtics.
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah. No, because Sean Marks. Whew. But no, definitely I can definitely see like a world where they play together.
Mhm.
My issue would definitely be how much you give up and then what your team looks like because I cannot go back to the bad bench days.
Oof.
We can't go back to that.
Yeah, the depth that we have at this moment in time, pre Kevin Durant trade, if it does happen, is the best that has been in a long time for the Celtics. I mean, you know the past 5 years, our bench has been awful, just disappointing. You just hope they come in and don't blow the lead. So they'd be sacrificing that for Kevin Durant. But also the Celtics' current defensive system is everyone gives all out effort. Just everyone on the floor is a good defender. And I question just how willing Kevin Durant would be to buy into Ime Udoka's system because I don't think I've ever seen KD give, 120% on defense like we've seen Marcus Smart and Robert Williams and even Al Horford do in the past. I mean, you saw how he defended Jayson Tatum on the last play in game one of the series this year.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest concern. I just think Jaylen Brown is a much better defender than KD, even though his scoring is a good couple tiers below. But I just feel like they have everything they need right now, and there's no need to jeopardize that at the hopes of getting Kevin Durant, no matter how good he is.
See, I think that because Ime Udoka actually does come from the Nets, like
Mm-hmm.
assistant coach. So I
Yeah.
mean, I can see a world where Kevin Durant may buy into it, especially when he sees that that system is working.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think one thing that's going on in the Nets right now is that he sees that Steve Nash's system isn't working, yet he's still staying loyal to him. So I think that's something that may be a little bit like a play into it, but also I think after he sees that, Ime was able to bring this team to the finals. His system works if as long as you
In
get
his
players to
first
buy
season,
in.
no less.
Of course. And so you obviously have to respect that. And you just don't go in and start destroying what a coach has done.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to a place where you have to buy into a system. That's what you do as a professional. And I think Kevin Durant could possibly do that as a professional. So yeah.
Yeah, I do think KD. Yeah, Boston wasn't in his initial list of teams that he preferred to be traded to, at least not that we know of. But I don't think he'd mind being traded to Boston just because they're currently so good. And obviously, what they did to him last year in the playoffs, he wouldn't have to go through that again, as he would be, classic KD style. If you can't beat him, join him. But what we've also heard regarding Jaylen Brown and the Celtics organization, Sham said that he is not aware of any displeasure between Jaylen Brown and the Celtics at this moment in time, which is what I read earlier. And so that's a welcome thing to hear as a Celtics fan, because I mean, we might just be raising a false alarm right now. If Jaylen Brown isn't unhappy with the franchise and these were just trade rumors, okay, whatever. We'll forget about it months from now. But if this does create that rift that I'm concerned it does, the Celtics might have messed up big time right here. And all just in the hopes of getting KD.
Nah, definitely. I think we've talked about it before, off and on the air, I'm pretty sure. Jaylen Brown maybe going into a little bit of a spiral with some previous players that we know. Yeah, we
Kyrie.
see, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, we see a little
Sorry.
bit of a, yeah, we don't say the name. We don't. Yeah. But but we all know, we all see it. It's there. You know, the subtle hints, the posts, the
Mm.
yeah,
I mean,
it's starting.
Kyrie, and Kanye all met up,
Kanye,
and
yep.
there is a
That's not
not
a good sign at
respectfully, there
all.
is a not a lot of sanity in that group of three people.
So definitely it's a little bit concerning seeing that. I think Jaylen Brown has one of those personalities where if he sees that like it's legit that they don't want him, he's just gonna leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's no doubt about it. So I think the Celtics organization has to come out and basically throw him a parade, throw him a
Mm-hmm.
party, and say,
Hey,
"I'm
I'd
sorry,
go to that
Jaylen."
parade if
Yep.
it meant he
Oh, we would.
stays.
Yep. Yep.
I'd be on a ticket plane to Boston as we speak.
I think everyone in New England, every Celtics fan around the world would go up to New England, up to
Mm-hmm.
Boston, and we would all be there. We'd all be there with our brown jerseys, brown hats, everything. So, I mean, my concern with everything truly is Brown because I I don't know if they're gonna offer him the amount of money that he's probably going to want as he feels valued. I think he's gonna value himself as that max money.
Which
And I
I
think this, yeah, I definitely no, definitely. I think he deserves it, especially for what he does for the Celtics. Like, I believe that
Mhm.
them Tatum and Brown should get paid as much as they want, stay Celtics forever. I think that's the
Yeah.
best thing for the organization to do.
If they can retain the two of them for years and years down the road, I mean, I feel like that's a guaranteed winning season almost every year. I mean, obviously not last season, the one prior to this one, they went 500, but that was just a strange year with COVID and everything.
No, of course, but the issue now is that with this report coming out, now you don't know what's going to happen with Brown because it feels like every year, right when we think something good is about to happen,
It just
something
implodes.
bad. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's been like this for a while now. So I'm very worried about what Brown may want to do. And I think we just have to really sit down and pray to the basketball gods, to God, that hopefully he just stays.
Yeah, I'd like to think that Brad Stevens is smart enough to just let Tatum and Brown develop together. I mean, they're both still young, 25 and 24. If he lets that happen, we should see multiple championships across the next decade. If they trade for KD, I feel like they're going to get one in the next 3 years, and then
Too.
it'll just, you think two? Well, one or two in the next 3 years, and then it'll fall off. So they'd be sacrificing the long term for the short term in this deal. But I think that's going to do it for us in today's video. Could ask that you please
Please.
drop a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Do you think the Celtics should trade JB? Do you have any packages in mind that they should use to trade for JB? Would Kevin Durant want to come to Boston? Should Wembanyama come to Boston next year? Who knows? I want to thank you guys once again for watching, and we will see you guys in the next episode.